Do you guys see the genius in these lyrics and how they're just pieced together? Whoo, man, okay. What's up, everyone? I am just Jonathan, and this is What's the Song Mean to You, where I love breaking down the lyrics and meaning of songs and extrapolating what the meaning of a song could be and / or what the song means to me. I am a photographer and videographer and all-around creative, and one of my passions revolve around music. I'm the type to listen to songs on repeat and for whatever reason tend to look into the meaning behind the songs and consider what my own interpretation to the song is. I do reference Rap Genius, the history of the artist if I know their story, or at least what they shared of their story, as well as other articles and good reads that I find. Before we start, just a quick disclaimer. I do not pretend to know everything and do not claim any of the lyrics and do not speak for any of the song contributors. I am simply a listener sharing my thoughts. So let's get into it. Today we're talking My Life by J. Cole. What the song means to me, it's one of those songs that you can relate to, and because it's about coming from the bottom of the bottoms, relatively speaking, and making it to become a successful person, it makes you feel so inspired to continue to push through any adversities that you're going through, because your time may be coming, especially if you just keep grinding and you keep working. In J. Cole's verse, he opens with, spiraling up just like a rich staircase, no fly zone, please stay the fuck out my airspace. Niggas say things behind backs that they wouldn't dare say. Know what's on sight when I see you, I'm working at Squarespace. Here he talks about becoming successful in such a fast way, and he references the staircase that you mostly see in a rich home, which is a spiral type staircase. And also it is a double entendre because he is saying that he's spiraling upward, meaning his career is increasing in a dramatic way, almost as if it's easy, just like how rich people tend to have more opportunities available to them because they are rich and tend to have shortcuts and therefore would have an easier path to advance in their respective careers. Now the next line, he's warning other rappers, if you don't know the history of rapping and how it started, part of hip hop and rap roots centered around competition. Who can come up with the best lines, the best flows? So you'll see a lot of that competitive nature and theme whenever you hear a typical rap song. So, he's talking about please stand the fuck out of his airspace. He's saying that he's reached a certain amount of success where he's now in his own lane, and he's essentially telling other rappers to stay out of it, because if they do show up in his lane or in his airspace, then now you're a threat and he'll be forced to target that flying aircraft and shoot it down, artistically speaking. So meaning if they were to get into a rap competition, album sales, however you want to decide how the winner gets decided, he's saying that he'd be the winner. In other words, he would quote unquote annihilate the threat. And you'll get that a lot in rap, with rappers being so confident and almost arrogant, and that's how they should be. They should feel like they are the best, because confidence is key in whatever you're doing. You should always feel like you're the greatest in what you're doing, and also have an understanding that there's always room to learn and always room to improve. Then he talks about people talking behind his back and saying things that they wouldn't say to his face. So when he mentions if he ever sees them, then he's going to confront them and approach them directly and not be hiding behind the internet or hiding behind closed doors, etc. I love this line because it's a play on words as he uses sight and Squarespace, because he's saying that he's going to approach you as soon as he sees you, which is that reference to sight as in eyesight. And jokingly says he's working at Squarespace, which is a website that manages websites. So it's a play on words between site and website. Top of the morning, I know that you thought I was dormant. Woke up early from shots that was swarming. A block full of ops, now the cops in the orbit. Guess somebody got popped, now they knocking on doors trying to find an informant, but I ain't see Nathan. I'm minding my business, as God is my witness. No weapon gon' prosper that's forming against me. Whoo! Now it's been a while since J. Cole has released an album prior to this album that the song is in. So that's where he speaks on saying that he knows that others thought that he was dormant. He hasn't actually been dormant. He's been working on perfecting his craft. Then he starts to paint a picture of what it was like growing up in his neighborhood. He talks about the block being full of ops, which are enemies, and that the cops are in the neighborhood looking for information on what's been going on. So he's saying he isn't growing up in the nicest neighborhood, and there are enemies in the neighborhood, whether that's opposing gangs or just two enemies that cops are looking into to figure out what happened. Now that's dope. What's dope about his informant line is it's a play on words. He's obviously saying he ain't seen nothing and saying it in a weird way because he's referencing a Jack Black movie called The Misinformant, where Jack Black plays the character where his name is Nathan. Woo! Did you catch that? As he continues, he says he's minding his business and not going to say anything to the cops, even if he did know anything, because one thing that happens in the hood and why the quote-unquote snitches get stitches saying is popular, because if you say something to the cops and then those who get arrested can easily have someone to plan something to get you hurt or killed, or even your family hurt or killed. So he's minding his business because he swears to God he is not going to put himself in a predicament where he will hurt himself or have his friends or family be hurt. And no weapons formed against me shall prosper is a scripture that's in Isaiah 54, verse 17 in the Bible. Yeah, I'm starving immensely. Know when I'm done with these songs, you gon' miss me. Ja Morant, I'm on my grizzly. You niggas just cubs, but no, not the ones in the big leagues. After the fall off, I promise I'm coming and selling out Wrigley's. This part right here, lyrical genius. So he starts off by saying, he's starving, which in slang terms he's saying, he's hungry for success, and he's still hustling and doing everything he can to still be the greatest that he can possibly be. And as J. Cole is on his 6th album at the time of this YouTube video, excluding his mixtapes, he has been toying with the idea of retirement. So that's where that next line comes into play about him being missed. Ja Morant is the point guard in the NBA for the Memphis Grizzlies. So in the next line, he gives him a shout out because he is on his grind and hustle, as Ja Morant is on his grind and hustle, as he's trying to become the greatest point guard that he can become and lead his team to a championship. Piggybacking off of the Grizzly line, he says that other rappers are cubs, and he isn't talking about the ones in the major leagues, and more so saying that these other guys that he's in competition with are just babies compared to him. And again, continue off of the Grizzly Cub theme, he talks about after the fall off, which is rumored to be the title of his final album, he plans to sell out major stadiums like the Wrigley's Field. And who plays at the Wrigley Field? The Chicago Cubs. You guys see the genius in these lyrics and how they're just pieced together? Whoo, man. Okay. I'm just a product of poverty, full of narcotics that profit out quickly. My family tree got a history of users that struggle with demons, not really the hustler instincts. Therefore, often my pockets was empty. So despite Cole's success, he isn't forgetting where he came from, which is growing up in poverty in an area that was full of drugs and drug dealers. He talks about his family struggles with drugs. I had spent money on so many drugs and battled their drug addictions, and because of that, his family didn't really have much money because the money was being spent primarily on drugs. As you may or may not know, J. Cole's mother had a drug addiction and had to uphold multiple jobs to support the family when J. Cole's father left him. Due to his mother's addiction, she didn't have the hustler's instincts, that hustler's mindset of being the distributor and not the user. She had the opposite, which is that of the consumer. So while some of my partners were serving up rocks on the corners, the project assemblies, me, I was starting to envy. Wanna be on the top where it's plenty. Wanna be in the spotlight where every bitch want me like Rihanna dropping new Fenty. J. Cole wanted to break that cycle of being the consumer, and it's really far beyond that. He just wanted out of poverty, wanted to, find a better life for him and his mother. So as he would see those he knew around the neighborhood that were drug dealers get money, he wanted to experience what it was like to have that type of money. And because money is a huge reason why lots of women are attracted to men, J. Cole also wanted to be able to get the girls like the same guys on the corners were able to because of what they had financially. And he related it to how lots of women are, lining up in mass to get Rihanna's makeup line, which is super popular with the ladies. While I see in the sky, the villas of ceiling can't reach up too high, evidently. Nah, I can't reach up too high, evidently. Never seen no one driving a Bentley. I can't be out here mopping up Wendy's. Growing up where there doesn't seem to be much opportunity, not only to financially improve, but also there isn't much opportunity to get out of the hood. It seems as though where you are is all there is, as if that's as far as you would really get in life because that is all you see that's around you. On top of that, not knowing anybody who really made it out of this poverty lifestyle that we're so used to. So J. Cole addresses that here, where he says he sees the sky, but where he's from, which is Fayetteville, North Carolina, it's as far as he gets. He uses the quote-unquote, the sky is the limit, saying as a way to paint that picture of while the sky may be the limit, and it should represent endless possibilities, he couldn't fathom anything beyond where he grew up. He never saw people with money. He never knew or seen anyone driving expensive cars. But what he did know is he did not want to just work at your local fast food or anything that represents a dead-end job where you're just working to make ends meet for the rest of your life. Then the hook goes, my life is all I have, my rhymes, my pen, my pad, and I done made it out the struggle, don't judge me. What you're saying now won't budge me, 'cause where I come from so often, people you grow up with laying in a coffin. But I done made it through the pain and strife. It's my time now, my world, my life, my life. Ooh. Sorry guys, I'm not the greatest singer, but in the hook by Morray, he talks about only having limited resources, and all he had was his ability to put words together to make a song and express his emotions. And he's asking that he's not judged for his past, because what he had to do in his past, he had to do for survival. So he's asking for, for you to understand him. And if he didn't do those things, then he could end up in jail or he could end up dead, as most do where he comes from. And since he's out of the struggle, he doesn't have to participate in those activities anymore, since he now has opportunities that those in poverty don't generally have. It's a fresh new start for him, and he's looking forward to not taking this opportunity for granted. And he took the $8 I had in my wallet. Every time I tell this story, I always label him as the nicest robber ever, because he ended up giving me a choice. I know it's funny to say, but he said you can either